Hi everyone, welcome to this video for the 44th weekend since the original lockdown here in the UK. The next instalment in terms of what I'm up to in the shack. And I've just been watching on TV that apparently the R rate, or the R number in the UK, has dropped to somewhere between 0.8 to 1, which means that infection rate should actually be falling, which is great news, of course. And I think about 4.5 million people have had their first vaccine shot, which is also great news. So a couple of positive things on the news in the last sort of day or two, which is great. At the same time, I'm also reading that that the current lockdown will probably have to go on until sort of the end of next month. And I think it was Scotland where they said that maybe into March. So, you know, we're not out of the woods yet, but certainly a couple of positive messages in the past couple of days. So, in the shack this weekend, so some of you will have seen some videos that I've uploaded the last few days of the carriers that I've been observing from Mongolia on longwave, particularly 209 kilohertz, but also 164 kilohertz. And it's not the first time that I've observed carriers on longwave. In fact, the first time I ever observed one was when I had the Perseus SDR, which I sold a couple of years ago now, probably, and sort of regretted selling it to a certain extent, I suppose. But since then, I've observed carriers on a couple of occasions since then, but never managed to copy any audio. And when I moved QTH, I always felt that I was much more likely to eventually copy some audio, you know, some signal modulation in my new QTH, because it is that much quieter. And to give you an example, I was monitoring longwave earlier today, and my noise floor early this afternoon was minus 125 dBs, which is, you know, is good anyway. But to have a noise floor that low early in the day, you know, well, in the early afternoon, it's quite amazing, really. At my old QTH, it would have been probably about 100. So it's so much quieter here. And as some of you will have seen, I have uploaded and posted a video of actual audio. In fact, I think there's audio on a couple of the videos that I've posted from Mongolia on longwave, and that is well, to a certain extent anyway, it's a bit of a holy grail for DXing, really, because Mongolia on longwave is one of the most difficult signals to copy that can be copied. I'm sure there's a couple of stations in the Pacific that I've copied from Australia that are nigh impossible to hear in Europe, unless you're talking about antennas that are a kilometre long or something. What's interesting, actually, is that part of the reason why I started monitoring the longwave again was because a fellow YouTuber, a guy who lives in Romania, Tudor, he copied them using an ICOM IC705 and a 360 meter long antenna. He copied really, really nice audio from Mongolia out in the fields, you know, so away from any QRM, presumably. Quite clear audio indeed, but a 360 meter long antenna, which, you know, 99.9% of us, the population, don't have access to that kind of space. But he's done it before. I'm not sure with the same antenna, but that's twice now that I think that guy's copied audio. And I've had a couple of comments on the channel already that Mongolia is basically just very, very rarely copied in Europe on those long wave frequencies. So to actually copy some audio using the Wellbrook loop at the bottom of the garden was quite incredible, really. It felt quite incredible at the time, and I got so excited actually when I started recording the signal that I accidentally flicked over the from the AM or upper sideband mode to, I think, CW, because I got quite excited about the fact that I could finally hear audio. And so, of course, now that I've done it, this weekend and for the next few days, I'm going to continue to monitor their TX frequencies and see whether I can copy them again. So I've downloaded the latest version of the FDM SW2 software. In fact, I downloaded version 3.037, but there's actually beta versions in test. One of them is version 3.046, which I'm now using. I've put on both of my computers, and the graphics look a lot crisper, I have to say. I'm not sure about the sort of functionality, but the graphics are definitely much sharper on particularly my Lenovo Ultrabook. So let's see whether it's possible to record Mongolia with an even better signal. And it's just one of those things that I've sort of been wanting to do for quite a long time and finally achieved it. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm still evaluating the this little radio, the Xiegu G-90, and I have to say, when I first got this radio, I borrowed it from a friend of mine, and I was particularly unimpressed with the audio. In fact, I was quite vocal in how unimpressed I was with the audio, particularly on the narrower audio filter settings. It was literally unusable. And I made some fairly pointed comments on the channel, and got a little bit of negative feedback from one or two users of this radio, and quite rightly so. At the end of the day, I'm quite prepared to hold my hands up if I think I've got something wrong, and I kind of did, and I kind of didn't really. I think there's absolutely no question that on narrower bandwidths on this radio, the audio is literally terrible, but with a wider bandwidth, it's actually okay. It's not bad. Someone commented that it sounds superb, and it doesn't sound superb, not at all. But if you plug the Bose into it, it sounds very good, indeed, and more than usable. But to get beyond that, I've just been incredibly impressed with this little radio, because it puts out 20 watts, which is 4 times as much power as my Yaesu FT817 puts out. It's not much bigger. It's overall, the form factor is slightly different. It's a bit narrower and a bit kind of thicker, or the depth of the radio. But overall, it's not much bigger than FT817. Puts out 4 times the power. So in terms of having a radio that would work for example, one of our Friday night skeds, it would be fine. The problem with the Yaesu, with the amplifier that I've bought for it, is that it only puts out about 2.5 watts when you're running on battery power, which is what I'm doing here. I'm running it on a little lead-acid battery, the same battery that I use with the Yaesu, and it puts out 20 watts. But what's also interesting is it puts out, at the moment, it's measuring an input voltage 12.3 volts, because this battery's been recently charged, but it still puts out 20 watts when it's running with an input voltage of 11.5 volts. So there's that, and the general sort of functionality of this radio, what you can do with it, the fact that it's obviously got a spectrum scope, etc. I have been massively impressed by it, to the point actually where I think I'm going to prefer to use this to the Yaesu FT817. So one of the other things I'm going to be doing this weekend is potentially looking for somebody to buy that radio. Now, my friend Jeff is quite friendly with another Harwell ARS club member, and he thinks he might be interested in buying it. I'm selling it basically, so there you go. I'm selling it with the amplifier that I bought for it, so effectively you've got a sort of portable station that will run up to 45 watts, spare nickel metal high drive battery packs, bought a couple of spare ones, etc. Power pole for it, and a power supply that's only really suitable for charging the internal batteries. It's quite important with the Xiegu that you keep the internal batteries charged. But you know, I'm hoping that that this guy's going to be interested, because I really want to sell the. I certainly can't justify having an 817 and the G90. So I'm hoping that this guy is genuinely interested potentially in buying the Xiegu and the amp from me, and I will simply replace it with this radio, and this will form part of my portable station. And heaven forbid we're ever able to sort of travel internationally again, I'm definitely taking this radio with me when I go next time I'm traveling on business or holiday, I suppose, where it's going to be possible to actually operate it from abroad. And in fact, I was talking to some club members earlier, we were they have a place in France, and they join into the Friday Night Net, our sked, from France when they're there, but of course they haven't been there for quite a long time because of the pandemic, etc. So I would certainly like to try something similar with this radio. So I'm still testing it, and I posted a video of the first QSO I completed with it, a station in Ireland, copying me 20 over 9 with 20 watts, which was absolutely brilliant. So there's no doubt that this radio works very well indeed, yeah, I'm just going to keep testing it for now, and then as I said, hopefully when I've sold the Xiegu, I can give the guy, a friend of mine actually, another Carwell club member who loaned it me, give him what he wants for it. He wants to sell it. He commented on my channel that the time I spent talking to the guy in Ireland was about twice as long as he'd actually spent using it himself. So he's bought it and not really used it at all. So so that's good, and that's good from my point of view because he wants to sell it, and so I think we can do a deal, which is really excellent. I'll be doing the sked tonight as usual. The Harwell Amateur Radio sked, Friday night sked, starts on 1.846 plus or minus QRM, and then we QSY to 80 meters, 3.710 plus or minus QRM. And I do this sked from 2 locations. I do it from home in West Oxfordshire, but I also do it from my second station in Abingdon from time to time. This weekend I'm going to do it from home and see how I get on. It's this is probably only the second time actually that I've actually done the sked from here since I got my full license, which by the way still feels absolutely great. So so we're going to be doing that tonight. Some of you may have noticed that I've been so I offered actually to help, and so took control of the Harwell Amateur Radio Society Twitter feed, and I took over that feed about just over a week and a half ago. And when I took it over, we had 65 followers, but obviously I made a big noise about it, published it on my own on the Oxford Shortwave log Twitter feed, which has over 1,000 followers, I think probably 1,100, and in just over a week we've gone from 65 to about 115 followers, something like that. So that's not bad going. And any of you watching this video, if you actually get this far, if you're on Twitter, it would be really great if you could follow us. That would be really good. I'm posting notices regarding the skeds, and I'm also posting notices regarding the kind of online training that the club does. So from that point of view, you know, there's kind of useful information potentially for people to kind of get involved. So even if you're not a club member, but you can copy us on the Wednesday sked or the Friday sked, and you want to join in, you'd be most welcome. And for those of you that don't want to join in or don't have a license but are listening, shortwave listeners, again, you can leave comments on the Twitter feed and signal reports, etc., etc. So that's all good. So I shall probably carry on managing the Harwell Twitter feed for ad infinitum, really, I guess. It's no big deal really. It doesn't take up a lot of time, and it's useful, I guess, for those of you that are interested in what we're doing. So there you go. And then finally, I've been sent another radio by Georg, who's the editor of Radio User magazine, and basically asking me if I would review this particular radio. Well, basically set this particular radio up and test it and write a review for the magazine, which I said I would, and he sent it to me, and I've managed to get it working. I can't tell you what it is actually, because he doesn't like me giving the game away, so to speak. You know, basically you find out when you read that edition of the magazine, and it probably won't come out. I've got until the middle of next month to actually write the review, which means it will probably come out in the magazine the month after, so it'll probably be March or April edition. But it's a radio that I've been wanting to try out for a long time. It's a very expensive radio. It's receive only, and I think my only comment would be that it better be pretty good to justify the amount of money it costs. And I won't say any more than that, but I've got a couple of other radios around here that are perfect, sort of calibration points for comparison. So I need to write a review on this radio, review what I can hear, but also compare it to some other receivers. So which I will be doing. So it's been quite a while actually since I actually wrote a review for the magazine. I can't remember the last time. It's probably a year or more since I've done it. Obviously, I've written several articles, and so I'm sort of quite looking forward to doing that in my spare time. And you guys will hopefully, well, read all about it. Well, actually, you probably will. I don't know how many of you get Radio User magazine. I mean, those radio aficionados amongst us should really support that magazine, because it's the only magazine really that's available in print for sort of DXs and just general radio people. Obviously, there's Practical Wireless for the hams amongst us, but I know from many of my YouTube channel subscribers, you're not hams, you're basically just into radio, and so that's probably the only magazine. So good idea if you can buy a copy now and then or get a subscription. But anyway, so this weekend I'll start testing this particular receiver, and be making notes as I go along, to allow me to write the article. So so there you go. And it still feels good to not have to report to you that I'll be studying this weekend. So there you go. So here I am, still on 209. Nothing seen. Nothing. No traces of any carriers at the moment. Having said that, I haven't looked. I don't know what time is it. It's probably actually a bit early to be doing that. I'm not sure where the grey line is right now, but anyway, I just keep, once I've got one of these receivers going, I just literally keep them on all the time. So I'm guessing it's still dark. There's a dark path to Mongolia right now at 8 o'clock, just gone 8 p.m. But there you go. I just keep the thing going and wait for something to appear. So there you go. That's it for me this weekend, the 44th weekend since lockdown. Everybody stay safe. Thanks for all your comments. I'm still endeavouring to answer as many as I can, even though I've literally got, 4,000 odd subscribers, but obviously most people don't bother to write. But I do really appreciate those of you that do take the time to comment, and obviously I appreciate the fact that you still take the time and trouble to watch the videos. So it's all good as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, have a great weekend. I wish you great DX. Keep safe, be well, and obviously continue to keep in touch via the channel. So thanks for watching, and 73.